Alright, so this is Star Trek Discovery Binge Watch, Season 3, Season 1, oh no, shit. Season 2, Episode 3, Point of Light. Star Wars is tomorrow, and Mark's card should be here shortly. I don't know if there's any other Star Wars, but so let's go into Point of Light, which is kind of a mess. Deals with Amanda, Spock's mother, coming to the ship, and they uncover the mystery of the why he's in the nut house. I don't know why he's in a nut house, but he's in a nut house on a starbase called Starbase 5. It's not due Space Station 4. If it was, it would be literally silly in space. Right out of our story. So, and it cuts back and forth to the Klingon and Tyler and Tyler Vok and Ash, and it cuts to that. So we have this like bizarre. It was nobody. So so the Vok, then the Klingon Empress are trying to hold power on the Klingon planet, and they threw a baby in it so that it could literally be a plot device in a similar way to Fast and the Furious 8, which introduced us to Dom. I think it was Dom's baby in episode 8. It was like this threatening bad guy who was like, the bad guy chick, I have your son, and you gotta go over to our special airplane in the sky thing and find our evil base and stop us. Same plot as Fast and the Furious from 2 years ago. They must have seen it, and they thought, oh, this is really cool. So we'll just crib that story idea from that movie that they probably saw with, oh, it's so cool, there's a baby. And then the bad guy tries to get the baby, and then they stop the bad guy, and then it's the same plot as a Fast and the Furious movie, which they ripped off. Okay, yeah. But then they have to stage it and make it look like she killed Vok and the baby. So that it looks like, everything. But thrown in the middle of that is this weird sort of appearance by the Empress lady from last season. Empress Empress lady. Do you have a old? What if Binge old? Anyway, she shows up and yeah, and she Giorgio. She rescues them, and then hatches the plot to make the baby and the guy look like they've been killed and decapitated. Decapitation, and then she takes Vok aboard the Section 31 ship, little Section 31 ship, which looks like which looks a lot like the Ciliosaurus from Silly in Space and acts like it, but it has some similarities to the Zuri ship from Starcrackers. Of course it does. Yeah. The back with the Amanda story, the Red Angel thing was there since the beginning. Amanda didn't raise Spock correctly, raised Burnham instead, and we know that Burnham is at this point not part of the other universe. Now I do actually know in advance who they, because there's been enough spoilers. I know who the Red Angel turns out to be, but with these videos, I want to act surprised when I get there. But yeah, I know who it is, and I don't want to give that away. So in this version, I'm just going on. And this episode, it was kind of a mess. If you have a secret clandestine organization, you don't do like Mission Impossible, the new Mission Impossible, which is an Abrams thing. You don't. That has been for the last 4 or 5 movies of that. 3 or 4 movies of that, I should say. And you don't have your Section 31, and I think this was addressed during the Trek Yards review of this episode as well. You don't just blatantly say they're a secret agent organization and have them have comm badges. That is really, really sloppy writing. Don't do that. It would be like if James Bond went around with a badge on him saying, I'm James Bond, license to kill. Ooh, yeah, I'm a super spy. The first rule of spycraft in a story is you don't talk about spy. It's the Fight Club rule. It's like you Fight Club, you're a Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. You're a spy. You don't talk about being a spy. That's dumb. It's bad writing. It's fine in Silly Trek or Silly in Space where it's a joke that you're a spy. Okay, but yeah, having them have a clandestine cloakable ship and like their plan to get him off the planet. Why didn't they just have him leave earlier and not mention it? Nice the Klingons grew their hair back, but. And it's kind of funny that they're alluding to the reason that in Next Generation they said no women will rule on the council. Is that because this lady was the Empress back then? This Remrel, and she was so bad that they just said, no, we never want to do that again. And then Chancellor Essetbour from Discovered Country, also, no, we don't want to do that again. But by Next Generation, they were being, macho. Not masochistic. What's that word? Misogynistic. They're being misogynistic and masochistic. They're Klingons. They did the Klingons a little better than the other one. They didn't explain how come her face is fixed. They didn't say like at some point, I had reconstructed surgery and fixed. They didn't explain that. It's kind of a mess. You don't admit who Section 31 is. That's kind of dumb. And making the Mirror Lady the Section 31 lady is like having them do that with Lorca last season. Oh, and the subtext of the ghost, Tilly's friend is a ghost, turned out to be an alien parasite that was sort of from the spore drive that got on her somehow. And that was like a insider, but it was trying to get to Lorca, I guess, but Lorca wasn't there, so it made her freak out when she was doing a command test with the captain. And then the captain figured out there's a lot of stuff going on in this episode, it doesn't gel. That was my review of Point of Flight. And so they introduced a baby to have it no longer be mentioned. It goes to Burrell Monastery. And so it's apparently the albino from Next Generation. The baby is the albino from Next Generation. So there's a tie-in to TNG in here. Unless they decide to just kill it off and say it's not. But it probably is. That character was an old man in Deep Space Nine, which would have been about 100 and something years later. So, that's about right. 120 years later. It's about right. So it's either him or his father. Yeah, so. But they probably weren't thinking of that. But they did mention the monastery, so maybe they were thinking of it. Maybe somebody told them, this would be cool to throw that in there. So they are doing some fan service in here. They're not completely disjointed. But as for this episode, it was a mess. Clandestine space thing. Anyway.